I had been diagnosed with osteoporosis, all the weightlifting and that sort of thing and eating meat. I have actually reversed my osteoporosis in my spine to normal. My physicians were kind of like, they didn't comment at all. Now, when I was diagnosed with osteoporosis, they were all about trying to get me to take those medicines that they think will fix your bones. The radiologist, right after he did the scan, he said, they're going to tell you need to take all those medicines. Don't do it. They're poison. And I appreciated that. And so I told the doctors, I'm not going to take those medicines. I'm going to exercise and address things from a different perspective. They don't say anything when that works.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Happy, what are we on? Tuesday or something like that. Good morning, Tuesday. We've got Claire today as our special guest. So Claire.
Good morning.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Well, welcome. Thank you, Claire, for doing this. Can you tell me where you're located?
I'm located in Laurel, Maryland.
Laurel, Maryland. Okay. The only thing I know about in Maryland is Baltimore.
Oh, it's south of there.
Interesting. I've been I've been to Maryland only briefly. I flew it to the airport. I guess at BWI, I think, at one point in my life. But well, welcome. Thank you for doing that. Can you tell us a little bit about your background? Where did you grow up, and what have you been up to?
I grew up in Maryland, in Rockville. I have been an educator for over 20 years. I'm a school principal. And so still working, still busy, needing more energy, needing some other things. And so started a kind of fitness journey back in, I don't know, about 9 years ago.
And where did you end up in that fitness journey?
Well, I ended up doing strength training, CrossFit, that sort of thing. And then ultimately ended up in the carnivore community because I realized that nutrition and fitness have to work together.
Well, I mean, amen to that. That's for sure. And so how did you, the carnivore community is still sort of a obscure, somewhat, I guess, confusing, controversial place to say the least. How did you end up here?
I ended up here because I am connected with Coach Bronson. And if you are aware of Coach Bronson, he is very much of a carnivore proponent. And he was my first coach. So he coached me in CrossFit and then convinced me that I needed to eat more meat.
And how hard was that to convince you? What had you thought or done prior to that?
Prior to that, I ate the standard American diet. I ate all the things that everyone eats, loved pasta, bread, all of that sort of thing. But I was working out and seeing marginal results, not quite the results I had hoped for. And over time, he said, well, maybe you need to try the nutrition piece of what you're doing. And I said, okay, I'll give that a shot for a couple weeks.
And so how did that work out for you?
I'm still doing it. That was back in 2018.
So
my couple weeks turned into a few years.
So you've been doing a meat-based carnivore diet for 4 years now. Have you experienced any benefits from that? Has it made your workouts easier? Put on more muscle? Have you felt better?
Lots of benefits. The reason I stayed with it after a couple of weeks, number one, I was enjoying what I was eating, and I was eating as much as I wanted, which was wonderful. But over the course of just like 4 weeks, I gained more muscle than I had gained in months prior to that. And so I saw fairly quick results in my body composition and my performance, and that was exciting.
There are people that would, and certainly I don't doubt it because I see that all the time. You start eating high quality, nutrition, particularly with adequate protein. There are people that would say, well, but that's going to harm your health because you're eating meat and meat is bad for us. How has your health been outside of putting on muscle, which I think is a very important indicator of health, by the way. But have you noticed any other health improvements or benefits?
Yes, my health has been excellent. I have continued to do all the yearly checkups that they recommend for people my age. I am 68 and a half. And so all my blood work is great. I have no issues there. I had been diagnosed with osteoporosis, which is actually what got me into the whole CrossFit thing to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And so with continuing to do all the weightlifting and that sort of thing and eating meat, I have actually reversed my osteoporosis in my spine to normal.
Wow.
So that's been awesome. I also have hypothyroid. So, that has improved as best thyroids can improve, I suspect, over time. My meds have been reduced. I'm still taking Synthroid, but instead of this being a progressive illness, it has actually gone the other way, and they had to reduce my meds because it was too much.
Yeah. So thyroid recovery, reversal of osteoporosis, which is super exciting because I can tell you as an orthopedic surgeon, I cannot tell you how many little women that I've taken care of over the years with broken bones, broken hips especially. And it's not something you want to end up with if at all possible to avoid it. And we've just seen a number of papers come out. Recently, one came out looking again at the UK Biobank data showing vegetarian, vegan women, 33% increase in hip fractures, which is a real problem there. You noticed, the reversal of your osteoporosis, was that something because you would have gotten a DEXA scan, I assume, to demonstrate that. Did your physician or anybody comment on reversing on osteoporosis? Were they curious about that?
No, my physicians were kind of like, they didn't comment at all. Now, when I was diagnosed with osteoporosis, they were all about trying to get me to take those medicines that they think will fix your bones.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually very blessed because the radiologist, right after he did the scan, he said, they're going to tell you need to take all those medicines. Don't do it. They're poison. And I appreciated that. And so I told the doctors, I'm not going to take those medicines. I'm going to exercise and address things from a different perspective. They don't say anything when that works.
Well, yeah, and probably because most people, when they say that, probably don't do the right things. They probably eat the wrong diet, quite honestly. I mean, they go out there and eat a balanced diet or something, like maybe drink more milk or something like that. But it's interesting. And, he was talking to probably the bisphosphonates, and they do have some issues with bone problems, jaw necrosis. You get these weird fractures and there's also other things that occur with our health in general with these medications. So they are definitely not benign. I don't know if I'd call them poison, but maybe you could. Who knows? So I'm interested because you're a school principal, and we are seeing more and more push within the education system to reduce animal protein, animal fat consumption. I don't know if your district is there, but is that something that you see? Is that something there with your school lunch program, or do you see anything where they're like, hey, let's remove animal products out of the diet?
I don't really have to deal with that because I'm the principal of a private school.
I see.
And so, we get to choose what we serve. And so I get a little pushback sometimes by the other administrative people in regard to what we're serving. It's a balance. Will the kids eat it? You serve them things. If they won't eat it, that's a problem. Budget wise, there's always a concern as well. That's going to cost more money. But I'm very much a voice that says we need not to be serving our kids a bunch of crap.
Yeah, good for you. And that is, I saw that like the New York public school system, which is the largest public school system in the nation, and they've gone to, meatless Mondays, vegan Fridays. And really what it does is there's probably a lot of budgetary constraints. And so they end up serving really kind of highly processed, poor nutritious foods, maybe in lieu of pizzas and stuff like that, but it's still this cheap, like you said, processed garbage that's not going to benefit anyone. So you said all your blood work was normal or looked good. I assume that was including your blood lipids. Had that not been the case, had you seen like really high cholesterol levels, what would your response been given how you feel and that type of thing? How would you have dealt with that?
You broke up a little bit there, so I may have missed part of what you said. Cholesterol, not been an issue. I've always had low cholesterol. So eating meat has caused it to go up a little bit, but not significantly, not to where my doctor's saying, "Oh my gosh, what are you doing?" So again, a non-issue.
Hey folks, it's Dr. ShawnBaker here. If you guys are enjoying these success stories, well, you can become your own success story. You can do that by heading over to Carnivore.diet. You can sign up for a free 30-day trial and get started today. We're looking forward to supporting you. Our community is wonderful, and we'd love to see your success. Yeah, and that's the interesting thing. I see some people where it doesn't seem to make. I'm one of those. It didn't really make a difference to me. My cholesterol has always been slightly high, but not eating meat didn't seem to make much of a difference for me. And so, but I mean, there are people that will do what you've done and they'll see their cholesterol go up significantly. Had that been the case for you, like let's just hypothetically say your cholesterol went up very, very high. Would you feel that the benefits of the diet outweigh those concerns, or what would your calculus be in that situation?
I think I'd probably want to do more research. I know that in talking with Bronson, he's always very good about sharing research information, and I don't always remember all of the details, but I understand that overall cholesterol is not necessarily a concern. There's ratios between your good cholesterol and your bad cholesterol and all of that sort of thing that matter more. And my ratio in that regard is excellent. So I think I would perhaps dig deeper and talk to people, but not necessarily my primary care physician.
Well, and it depends on who your primary care physician is. And I think that's, just realizing there may be nuance to this and getting more information is important. So what do you eat? I mean, you're 68. I mean, how are you eating, like big old steaks, or what are you eating for your diet?
I am eating big old steaks. Yes, I do like steak. I like ground beef, so that works for me. I also eat pork. I eat fish. I do eat dairy. So I know some carnivore people don't. And I found that when I experimented and stopped all dairy, I actually did see an increase in muscle mass, but I like dairy. So I decided I was going to keep doing cheese because I like it. So eggs, cheese, bacon, meat. Yeah.
And how much are you eating as far as, what does a typical day look like for you?
I am one of those people that I work, sometimes through lunch, I forget to eat. So I inadvertently become a 1 meal a day person, which makes it difficult to eat as much as I probably should eat. My goal right now is to eat at least 100 grams of protein a day. And so I do try to track that to make sure that I'm eating enough, because I perhaps would tend not to eat enough. And then I, don't really worry much about the rest of it.
Are you still doing the CrossFit?
Yes and no. I'm not doing official CrossFit in a gym. Once the pandemic hit, that all, closed and went virtual. So now I'm using Coach Bronson's Ultimate Ketogenic Apex at Home training system. And so, that's working for me. It's very similar. It has resistance training and weight training and cardio and all of those sorts of things.
And it's still fairly, is it fairly intense, like you were doing with CrossFit before? Is it similar intensity?
Yes, I would say it's very intense. So for example, I outfitted my gym at home with kettlebells and dumbbells and barbells and various other things. So I'm lifting. I recently was back able to lift a 150-pound deadlift. I was happy about that. Those sorts of things. So I'm lifting heavy, and the workouts are not for, they're not for someone who wants to slouch. The workouts are challenging.
Good for you. 150, yeah, 68-year-old female, 150 pounds. That's good for you guys listening there. That should be a little benchmark for you. And not having a lot of carbohydrate in the diet, or almost basically none for the most part, has not hindered your ability to train hard, though.
No, I've not noticed anything, but it's been so long now that it's hard to say. Like I say, a few years ago, I was eating carbs and all that and working out. I feel like I'm stronger, healthier, feel better now.
Well, what could you deadlift, 5 years ago prior to doing this? I mean, 150 pounds, were you deadlifting, or have you seen progress in that?
I was deadlifting. I think my progress has been impacted by going through the whole COVID thing and being at home and, having a gap in between having the equipment that I needed. So I had gotten to a point where I was getting close to that. But that was with going to the gym 3 times a week and having coaches standing right there watching me do all that. You would have thought being at home, I would have lost that ability, and I have not.
Good for you. I'm somebody who trains by myself at home all the time. The biggest thing is just, staying motivated, but I'm pretty internally motivated. So it's one of those things where you don't need a coach to stand by you once you kind of get the basics down, for sure. And I've been doing this stuff for 43 years now. So, and Bronson Dant, I've interviewed and talked to Bronson and met him many times. And so good on him. And I know he's done a little research project with looking at folks kind of in your category doing kind of a ketogenic style diet, and has seen some pretty significant benefit with that. I think we'll probably bring him on and chat about that study that he's done. Do you find anybody gives you any pushback? Are you getting anybody saying, "Hey, that diet is bad for you. You shouldn't be doing that"? Any family members, friends, relatives, coworkers, that type of stuff?
I have not gotten a lot of pushback. I get teased sometimes. People will kind of laugh, they'll be offering this and that, and I go, "Oh no, she's not going to eat that," and they don't give me trouble over it. They've accepted that that's what I eat. They don't want to eat what I eat, but they don't give me trouble over it.
When you're at work at the school, I assume, I don't know if you're at the school or at an administrative facility, but is it hard do you bring in your own food? Can you find it on site, or how do you eat it during the daytime?
I usually bring my own food.
So you bring like a container with a steak in it or something like that?
Yes, exactly.
Good for you. That's awesome. And do you, like you mentioned, you get about 100 grams of protein. For size reference, do you mind sharing how big you are or small you are or whatever that?
I'm sorry, I missed the middle of that question.
How you eat 100 grams of protein a day? What's reference for how big of a person are you, if you don't mind sharing that?
I weigh about 120 pounds.
Okay. Yeah.
Over the course of time, I generally maintain about 38% muscle mass, skeletal muscle mass.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I try to eat in grams as much protein as my lean muscle or more.
Very nice. Yeah, that's a decent amount. And are you concerned about your kidneys, or has there been any issues with kidney health or anything like that?
I've had no problems with my kidneys. I don't have any indication that they're having any difficulty. So no, I don't have any problem with them. As a matter of fact, a couple of years ago, I had a kidney stone. It was quite painful. Went to the doctor. They addressed it, but they also said, "You have several kidney stones, actually." And they gave me a brochure of things I should eat that were oxalate foods. They said, "Don't eat these foods." And I was shocked to realize that all of the foods they were telling me not to eat were vegetables.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually surprised that they mentioned that to you, because a lot of, there's such a bias towards eating as many vegetables as possible. And it's true that there are a huge number of oxalating.
Yeah. So I stopped. So I thought that was interesting. And I continued eating my carnivore diet. And then 6 months later, a year later, whenever it was, I went back to be checked. And they said, "You have no kidney stones now."
Yeah, interesting. That's removing the oxalates from the diet can be very helpful. And for those who don't know that, most kidney stones, about 80% of kidney stones are oxalate containing kidney stones, calcium oxalate stones typically. And so interesting to see that, but we're often told don't eat meat and eat all these fruits and vegetables, which could make the situation worse with regard to oxalates anyway. Do you find that, when you're eating the standard American diet back in years past, had you tried other dietary approaches over the years? I mean, I don't know if you ever had issues with trying to lose weight or anything like that. Did you try different?
I did. As a matter of fact, for years, I was never very, very heavy, but I was not as slim as I had wanted to be. So I did try various diets, including Dr. Atkins' diet, which I hear a lot of people talking about. That's where they first heard about low carb. So I did do Dr. Atkins' diet, and I can remember years ago, before he passed away, where he was saying, someday this is going to be understood to be the way to go. The carbs are the problem. So yeah, I did give that a shot.
Well, and there's certainly a lot of pushback from that. And for some people, they seem to handle carbohydrates better than others. I think as we get older and older, it seems like our tolerance goes down less and less. I know for me, I do certainly better without them for sure. Do you find that you mentioned you still have some cheese in there? Do you and often one meal a day? How many calories do you think you're eating in a day then? If you're eating 100 grams of protein, that's 400 calories. I don't know how much fat you're consuming, but what are your thoughts on that?
It really vacillates because some days I'm hungrier than other days, and I don't really focus on calories at all. When I track it, I have found that I could eat as much as 1,600, 1,700 calories. When I was first doing carnivore, I ate that many calories and gained muscle, didn't gain weight. It was great. I don't eat quite that much now. It's probably closer to 1,500.
Yeah, and that's, for a woman of your size, that's probably not too far off. I mean, there's people that are starving on 800 calorie diets, and you're getting to eat quite a bit. I mean, I guess the bottom line is you get to eat as much as you want to eat, basically. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that's a nice place to be, not hungry, and assume you enjoy it. What are your favorite things to eat on a carnivore diet?
A ribeye steak.
I've heard that before. Not surprising, me too. I've got one waiting on me for a little bit later this morning. And are you, do you have are you focusing on grass finished only? Are you eating sort of a combination, or where do you go with regard to that?
I'm sorry, I missed the part of that. Am I focusing on?
Are you focusing on only eating grass finished steaks? Or are you eating both types of steaks, or do you have a preference?
I don't have a preference. I pick up what's on sale at the grocery store.
Yeah, and that seems to serve a lot of people, quite honestly. I know there's people out there that seem to believe that the only way you can be successful is to eat only grass-finished steak, and that's not been my experience, nor has it been the experience of what I've seen for thousands and thousands of other people. Are you going out of your way to eat organ meats and things like that, liver and kidneys and stuff like that, or what do you do with that?
I don't care for liver, and so I do take a liver supplement. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like that's probably a good thing for me to be doing, since I don't really care for organ meats.
Yeah, me neither. I don't take the supplements either, to be honest on that. I don't know. I see a lot of people successful without that stuff, but if you like it, go for it. Do you interact with the kids in school very much? Are you spending much time with the kids as a principal, or do you mostly do more administrative type stuff?
I spend a lot of time with the kids. As a matter of fact, because of all the COVID things going on the last couple of years and being short on staff, I actually was teaching full time and being the principal for the last 2 years. Praise God, I actually don't have to do that with school starting this year.
That's a lot of work.
But yeah, spend a lot of time with the kids.
Have you noticed in your time now, and I don't know what your whole career has been, but have you noticed a change in the health of children over the last however long you've been doing this as a teacher, principal?
I don't know if I've noticed a change. I feel like for a long time, kids have been eating a lot of junk, and they are overweight, and they don't exercise, and they don't even want to go outside.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. When I was a kid, you couldn't keep me inside. I wanted to be outside all the time. And my favorite classes were lunch and recess, and they still are. I mean, quite honestly.
Yes.
But I mean, so why? I mean, I know in a lot of, I'm shocked to find out that physical education, PE, is not even on the curriculum now in a lot of schools. Is that, I mean, I don't know, is that the case for your school, or what are your thoughts on that?
No, we definitely have it on our curriculum. And we've just finished 8 weeks of summer camp. And one of the things that we injected into summer camp as well was a fitness period, and then activities that included things like hiking.
Very nice. Awesome. That's a lot of fun. And do you, as far as, what about things like, I mean, when I was a kid, I can't remember what it was, but it was like 7th grade or something like that. I don't know the age of the coolest kid you're teaching, but there was this class called home economics, and they taught you how to cook and do things like that. Are those things still being taught within schools anymore?
I don't think they're being taught in the public school. I just don't know. We do have a very small class. Our school goes through middle school. So we do have a life skills class with a very short cooking component.
Yeah, how many? I mean, I'm just wondering how many kids. I saw this. I relay this, and everybody's kind of shocked. There was a study poll done recently within the last few years, and it was looking at this sort of millennial Generation Z, and noted that they weren't eating as much cereal as in the past, which I think is a good thing. But unfortunately, it turned out they weren't eating cereal because it was actually too much work for them, because they had to, they had to get a dish out and rinse it out, and they'd have to rinse a dish, and so they prefer like a little prepackaged bar, candy bar, and so that cereal has become too much work, and so you can imagine trying to get kids to eat, just even cook themselves a couple of eggs, which take all of about 3 minutes to make eggs. Honestly,
yeah, but then you've got the plate and the pan.
Right, you got the plate and the pan to clean. So it's this convenience has gotten so much to where it's destroying, our ability to feed ourselves, and we become so reliant on convenience and this sort of prepackaged everything. It's very much a shame. Do you see? I mean, is there any effort within the school systems to address performance, with nutrition? Is that something that's part of the?
Not that I'm aware of at all.
It's a shame. It's a shame, because I think it does make an impact. Well, I mean, there are clearly studies that indicate nutrition impacts, academic performance for sure, as well as health. And, we're seeing so many children now on mood altering drugs, whether antidepressants or drugs for ADHD. Is that something you see increasing?
We see that a little bit. Because being a private school, we don't see it a lot. Most of our students are not in a situation where they're dealing with learning disabilities. But I know that it is certainly rampant in the public system. Yeah,
I was going to ask if you have interaction, like through a national or state organization, where you interact with some of the other school systems, or just being aware from that. But that's what I see, and I see that pretty significantly, like particularly the number of kids that are now on antidepressants. I mean, I saw some data from the UK, which I'm sure the data in the US is similar, and there was like a 40% increase in antidepressant use among teenage kids and 20 somethings over even a period of about 4 or 5 years, which is just it's that big of an increase is very shocking to see. As far as your own personal health and stuff like that. Is there any advice you could give to people that maybe, I mean, like your demographic, kind of women that are a little bit on the old, not old, I don't want to say that, but, in the 60s and stuff like that are, because typically we see a lot of push towards avoiding meat and, going more plant-based. Is that something you would obviously maybe not agree with? Or what advice could you give somebody that might be in your demographic?
I would definitely not agree with less meat. I would say, old people, young people, middle-aged people need to prioritize protein. We need protein to build our bodies and to keep our bodies strong. We need muscle as we get older, not only for my bones, but also for me to be able to function. Yeah. I need muscle. And in order to have muscle, I need to eat protein. And so I don't believe those people that say you can eat plant protein and it will be just as good. I don't believe it. I believe that we need to be eating meat, and there's plenty of meat choices out there, and meat is not that difficult to cook. And so I would recommend that people eat meat.
Yeah, they're outside of, very highly constructed plant-based isolates, which you can kind of cobble together. And, if you're eating all these sort of protein powder supplements, which are lacking a number of things that we do find in whole foods, which, within meat, even cholesterol has been shown to be anabolic. One of the things I notice, I'm a guy that's been doing strength training my whole life. I like being strong. Do you find that it has a mental benefit to you? Do you find that being stronger and physically fit improves your mood, your outlook, your mental health?
Absolutely. I think that the fitness and the nutrition work together in that regard. When I'm eating meat and eggs and bacon and those sorts of things, my body feels better. When my body feels better, then my mind and my emotions feel better. I have found this was surprising to me because I did not exercise my whole life really until I started, with the whole CrossFit thing, that when I go a couple of days without doing a workout, I do start to feel depressed. I start to feel just down. And I'm always amazed when I go ahead and suck it up and go do the workout that I feel immediately better. And then I feel better the entire rest of the day.
Yeah, that is so, I think, an important piece of information. If you're feeling sad and blue, go eat a steak and go grab a workout, and it's going to be. And then I would argue, you can get outside in the sunshine too. That's distressing to me to hear the kids don't even want to go outside. I mean, that to me is, is that in your school as well? They want to stay inside and probably play video games or look at YouTube videos or watch TikTok videos. Do you have to hurt them out there and say, go stand in the sunshine, or what do you have to do to combat that?
Yes, we have to tell them, even though we only go through 8th grade, we have middle school, we have recess daily, we have PE weekly. And sometimes they'll say, do I have to go outside? Do I have to go outside to recess? Yes, you do. You need to go outside. During camp, we're going to go on a hike. Do I have to go? Yes, you do. You can whine and complain, but yes, you have to do it.
Good for you. Yeah. I think it's something that some people will get it. And I don't know, when I go out in public and I see just so many young people that they just look physically unprepared to live life. They don't look like they have the vigor, even the basic level of strength to function, not only that, just to at some point, we're going to rely on these people to protect us, make our decisions for us as a society. And it's kind of a scary thought to think. And so, hopefully you can continue to impact these kids in a positive way and be a positive role model. I know that there are, like I said, you can't reach them all, but the ones you can, you can do your best. Well, Claire, do you have any kind of, are you on a social media anyway or anything like that? Do you do any of that stuff?
A little bit. I am on Facebook. So I, kind of follow various things. I'm involved in Bronson's whole Facebook group, that sort of thing. The first conference I went to was Ketocon just not too long ago. And so I'm getting a little more involved in those sorts of things. I post pictures of myself working out. I try to encourage people in that way that if I can do it, you can do it. If I can jump on this box, you can step up on whatever,
Well, good for you. And I was I don't know if I run into you at Ketocon. I can't remember if I saw you there.
Yeah, really briefly. There was lots of people there.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I talked to hundreds. Every time I go, it's kind of a you meet so many people. And so we'll thank you for doing this. And, I know I'll talk to Bronson again. I know he's encouraging people and that type of stuff. So, once again, this is always great to see these inspiring stories, and you're definitely one of them. So keep up the good work, Claire, and maybe we'll follow up down the road and see what are your goals? Do you have some goals from a fitness standpoint? I know you said you had a 150-pound deadlift. Any numbers down the road you want to hit?
That's really hard because I don't know. Bronson believes that to be functionally fit, I should be able to lift 180 pounds.
Okay.
And so, we'll see.
Let's get it. Go get it. I think you can do it. I have no doubt. So anyway, keep up the good work. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. I've got to go run and do some stuff. One of the things is going to be eat my ribeye steaks. So you guys have a great day. Thanks, Claire. The rest of you guys, thanks very much. We'll see everybody tomorrow.
Thanks for having me on.
We'll see everybody tomorrow then. Okay. Take care, guys. Bye-bye now.
All righty.